Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's episode, which is Kyle Richards thinking that somehow the rules don't apply to her, I'm confused. She thinks that she's not allowed to be questioned or exposed or called out, but you're literally on a show called The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So, with that, let's go. So, this is according to Reality Blurb. It says Kyle Richards felt like she was on trial during the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which saw her castmates, specifically Sutton and Garcelle Blvd, hitting her with questions regarding the status of her marriage to Mauricio Umansky. Following the dramatic episode, during which Kyle hosted a weed party Kyle addressed speculation regarding her missing wedding ring and a new ring that she was wearing, as Dorit suspected that Sutton and Garcelle pre-planned the discussion, and Sutton shared the pressing family issue she was hit with before her meltdown in Las Vegas. So let's dissect that for a bit before we keep going. Number one, the entire world is speculating about Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky's marriage and, cheating rumors. Kyle is out here pretty much having a full blown lesbian affair in front of our faces with Morgan Wade, getting tattoos, doing sexy music videos, being with her all the time. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, there's nothing wrong with same sex relationships at all. I'm definitely not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. But she is out here parading as if she is in a romantic sexual relationship, whether it's with a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. And she's married, And then on the flip side of that, there's been Mauricio cheating rumors for decades that go back all the way to 2013. There's been cheating rumors, whether he's been cheating with Dorit or other people, other women at the agency. Like, there's just been so many stories about his cheating that this is not new news and it's no surprise. The only thing that is new about it is that the women are actually talking about it on the show. Right? And then for Dorit to be like, oh, I think Garcelle and Sutton pre-planned the discussion. Well, you should know about pre-planning discussions, Dorit, because you and Kyle and Erica and Lisa Rinna before she got fired and Teddy before she got fired, you guys would always pre-plan your discussions and your attacks. Like, don't think for a second we don't know that you and Kyle calling Sutton an alcoholic wasn't a pre-planned conversation in Kyle's house during the same exact episode. So you and the Faux Fox 5 pre-plan your conversations. So of course you're going to accuse Garcelle and Sutton of pre-planning the discussion because that's what you guys do. Now, have Sutton and Garcelle had conversations about it? Yeah, of course. They're on the show. So, of course, they're having conversations about it. Do I think they pre planned the way it went down at the dinner? No, I don't. Because Garcelle was saying to Sutton, you need to talk to Kyle. Kyle needs to really talk to you. This has to go down between the two of you. But I think Garcelle, like everybody else at the table and us viewers, were like, just spit it out. Just say it already. And so Garcelle was like, all right, well, I'll do it. I'll say it. So do I think it was pre-planned? No. Do I think they've had previous conversations? Yes, like everybody has. Dorit, you even had a conversation with Kyle asking her about, is she happy in her marriage? What is going on with Mauricio? Many times during this season. So I don't understand why you're trying to throw the book at them when you've done it yourself. Kyle says, I felt like I was literally on trial. I was like, what is happening here? They're like, did you or did you not receive a ring that was a gift from Mauricio because he cheated on you? Kyle recalled in the November 30th episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. According to Garcelle, she blurted out her concerns because she didn't want to skirt around the issue. Still, Crystal Minka felt it was not okay to say something that affects the perception of a marriage. Crystal, shut up. Like, you're the one who actually started the conversation at the table. Because remember, when they all sat down, Crystal was like, well, we need to talk about this. You two were just yelling at her what's going on. So, Crystal, like, please shut up. Also, Kyle, I'm sorry, Kyle, but you're on a television show called The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You've literally made millions of dollars for you, Mauricio, and your family being on this show. So if you're going to make millions of dollars being on the show, pretending to have the perfect marriage, you're going to have to deal with questions come out about said marriage. That's just a part of it. You can't take the money and the glory and the fame without having the guts to also take the scrutiny and the questioning that goes along with it. Of course, there's levels to it. I don't mean like people still have the right to privacy. People should always feel protected and safe. No one should threaten or harass or belittle someone. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about normal boundaries of being a reality star. And a normal boundary of being a reality star where the core premise of being on the show is talking about your marriage. You know, you have no problem talking about your marriage when you're buying houses and you're flipping houses and you're promoting his business, the agency. You have no problem talking about your marriage when it suits you and it benefits you as your brand. But now all of a sudden your marriage is off limits. I don't think so. You know, everybody has had to talk about their marriages and what's going on. You talked about your sister Kim's alleged alcoholism. You talked about Yolanda Hadid's alleged Munchausen syndrome, whether or not she was faking being sick, right? You talked about everybody. You talked about Lisa Vanderpump saying that she was planting stories and Lucy Apple Goosey and everything like that. Like, you guys have made everybody talk about everything in their lives, other people's families, other people's children, other people's marriages and relationships. You know, you wanted Erica to talk about what was going on with her lawsuits. You can't say everybody else needs to talk about it. Everybody else needs to tell the truth. You sure as hell went against your sister Kathy, being like, you saying that you're happy that Kathy was being exposed and you wanted people to think that Kathy was this horrible person. But yet somehow your marriage is off limits when you've literally made millions and millions of dollars off of pretending to have a certain type of marriage on the show. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, you know? Meanwhile, Anne Marie Wiley didn't understand why Kyle removing her ring was such a big deal. Anne Marie, you can also shut up, and that's why you're demoted. She goes, I stood up for Kyle because I get it. I work out every single day at 5 a.m. I'm not wearing my ring. None of the rest of the girls have probably worked out a day in her life, so they don't get that. Anne Marie, that was not necessary. I'm like, why is this woman badgering her over not wearing a ring when Sutton's also the person I found out doesn't like to be questioned herself? It's okay when the shoe's on the other foot, but not vice versa. This is actually the advice, Anne Marie, that you should be giving your boss, Kyle, because that's what Kyle is saying. She's saying that, like, everybody else can be questioned, but you better not question me, you know? Continuing on, Kyle said that her ring is missing today by choice. She removed it amid filming The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 13 only because she didn't want to damage it. That doesn't make any sense. Kyle, you've been married for 25 plus years, right? And over the course of that 25 plus years, you didn't have a problem wearing your wedding ring. Was it damaged over those 25 plus years? Or are you now not wearing your wedding ring because you're making a statement about the state of your marriage? She says, I actually lost 2 diamonds in Vegas lifting weights. That's why I don't wear a ring, she explained. But I was so scared to take my freaking ring off after all the women came for me. Again, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm pretty sure that you have worked out before in the last 25 plus years. Working out, you may be doing it more intense now, but it's not new to you. Girl, bye. And like, living your life and not wearing your ring has nothing to do with working out. I understand not wearing it working out, but what about the other 23 hours of the day? Although Garcelle insisted she did not know about the ring issue before she sat down at Kyle's dinner, Dorit noticed suspicious behavior between her and Sutton. Garcelle was finishing some of Sutton's sentences, and Sutton would look at Garcelle, so it almost felt like they had a prior conversation about it behind Kyle's back, she shared. Now, Dorit is the last, and I mean the last person to talk about people having conversations behind people's back. That's also a part of the show. You know, you get together and the girls talk about the other girls behind their backs. Like, that's just called friendship gossip, you know? When someone's not there, they talk about them. Now, the way in which they talk about them could be negative, positive, supportive, or defamatory, sure, but there's nothing unusual for people to talk about other people on the cast. Again, she's trying to make it out like Sutton and Garcelle are doing things that are abnormal. They're not. Having conversations about Kyle's marriage is completely normal and it's completely a part of the course. They've all had conversations about Kyle's marriage. Dorit, you had conversations about Kyle's marriage to Kyle and behind her back. You and PK were clowning the hell out of Kyle and Mauricio behind their backs. So what are you talking about? And you've had plenty to say about Garcelle behind her back, Dorit. You talk about Garcelle like a dog behind her back. So, and you talk about Sutton behind her back. You called Sutton an alcoholic. So what are you talking about? Like I said before, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You can't act like what Garcelle and Sutton are doing is this horrible setup when this is what you guys have done all the time ad nauseum. And I don't think that what Garcelle and Sutton have done is malicious or bad or is in somehow some type of takedown setup, whereas I do think that has happened before with certain people in this group. But asking Kyle about the state of her marriage when she's not wearing her wedding ring, there have been rumors about her cheating on Mauricio with Morgan Wade. There has been rumors about Mauricio cheating for the past decade. I don't think that's setting somebody up. I don't think that that is malicious. I think that that is just par for the course, you know? And for Kyle to think that somehow her marriage is off limits, she's lost the plot. They were questioning Erica all day long about her marriage to Tom, and Kyle was right there with them. You're on a reality show about marriage. The Real Housewives. Get with it, girl. All right. In her own segment, after saying she always loved Kyle Mauricio's relationship and looked up to it, Sutton explained why she was so inquisitive. We have a no ring situation now. All of a sudden, we've got a new ring situation and changes in behavior, she revealed. In another scene from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, Kyle and Sutton reflected on their post Vegas spat, and Sutton explaining what a conversation with ex husband Christian Strack sent her into a tailspin. Christian texted me right before I was leaving to go to Vegas and said, "Meet me for lunch at the Bel Air at noon. We don't meet." And it wasn't "can you?" It was "meet me. It's important." So immediately I was nervous and I said, "I can't. I'm on my way to the airport. Can you just call me?" Christian is moving to England, but not only that, but he told me James is coming and I'm coming. In retrospect, I wish I'd waited to have that conversation until after we got home from Vegas because that spun my head around, Sutton revealed. This was scary. I thought I was going to move to London. But Kyle wasn't sure that was the real issue that led to Sutton's meltdown. It's hard having all that money. She was saying that that's why she'd been upset, but that's why she acted like that at Magic Mike. No, I don't believe her, Kyle confirmed to Erica. If she had said, "My son's moving to London," I would have been like, "You need to move to London too," but not that your ex and your son staying here and you're getting more money. Kyle, shut up. Because first of all, what Sutton said was, right before she went to Vegas, Christian, her ex-husband, told her that she was moving to London, her son James was moving to London, and himself were moving to London. She did not find out that James and herself were not moving to London until after Vegas. So you're conflating the two. And also people, and Kyle, if Mauricio called you and said, "Hey, I'm moving to London to be with Dorit, and Portia's coming too," I'm pretty sure you would lose your mind. Pretty sure you would lose your mind how codependent and how attached you are to your children. I'm pretty sure you would lose your mind if Mauricio said, "I'm moving to London and Portia's coming too." You would lose your mind. So don't act like Sutton being upset about her son having to move to London is like some crazy thing. And she said that it turned out to be okay, that the son decided not to move to London with the father after Vegas. So please stop. Saying "I messed up and I'm sorry" is not something that rolls off the tongue so easily for Sutton when someone says, "The reason I acted like this is something I can't talk about," but then later they can talk about it. And you're like, you needed time to come up with something, Kyle suspected. No, she probably needed time to work things out with her lawyers because, like Sutton said, her husband is powerful and runs a $1 trillion company, and your husband sells houses for a living and is trying not to be, totally sued all over the place. Also, speaking of her conversation with Kyle, Sutton said that after sharing her family issue in confidence with her castmates, she hoped Kyle would open up. "This is her moment. There's obviously something going on in your life," Sutton stated. "I was like, okay, that's when I said she was in denial. I just didn't care." Sutton threw some shade at Kyle's event, adding, "She's going to put on this stupid parade of a pot show, and then we'll just all have to sit here and watch it." Sutton with the shade. I'm here for it. I love it. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Kyle has the right to say that her marriage is off limits, but everybody else's life we have to talk about it? we have to tell the truth. We have to put everything on the table, you know? As Kyle has done to every single person who has ever been on that cast, Kyle has stirred the pot, exposed them, asked crazy questions, but now she expects her marriage to be off limits. Do you think Kyle has the right to request that everybody bow down to her and not ask questions about her marriage? You know how I stand. I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If we expect everybody else to tell the truth, if we expect everybody else to talk about their marriages, their lawsuits, their children, the cheating allegations, their husbands, their spiraling, them going out of control, then we have to talk about yours too, Kyle. You don't get a free pass. And also, you've made millions of dollars being on the show, using your marriage as a brand. You have to be able to take questioning about it. Like I said before, I don't mean in a when I don't mean for people to go on the deep end. Yes, people should still have boundaries and you should have a level of privacy and safety whether you're on reality TV or not. As human beings, we're all allowed to have things that are sacred and private. Yes. But I think in this particular situation that doesn't apply. Sutton wasn't doing anything and Garcelle wasn't asking anything that millions of people didn't want the answers to, given the context of the show that you're on. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. But before you do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.